Now, before we start, let us try and understand what is a bigger challenge in the market in terms of both job seekers and job providers. This is the problem of job seekers. There are close to 9 million young graduates who are unemployed in this country. And out of them, 93% doesn't even know or aware of more than 7 career options by the time they graduate. So that's a bigger challenge that we're talking about. And diversity and other issues, biases, etc. kicking in, especially in the 2-tier, 3-tier background, education, pedigree, those are all other issues to worry about. Well, that's a problem. On the other side, the employers are struggling. 83% of HRs are struggling to find and fill their jobs in the companies. Now, what is this telling us? This is clearly stating that, you know what? There are jobs, there are job seekers, but somehow we are missing something to connect them. Now, the question is, how do we do it? What do we need to do for that? And the way forward. Let us look and understand the hiring process today. Today, this is how any hiring process starts. A company has to first source the candidates. It could be from colleges, campus interviews, Naukris, Monsters, Indeeds, or even the applications on the website. Once they source the candidates, they have to start screening them for various abilities, functional abilities, cognitive abilities, personality, behavior, a lot of other things. Once you understand that part, can I also understand whatever I can understand through interview, through video calls or even telephone call interviews? If that is a successful approach, then you further go into the physical interview, go and talk to them directly, and then once you have shortlist of 5 or 6 candidates, how do I choose? How do I make my decision? And once this decision is made, how do I onboard them more engaging and in a fluid way? So this is how the whole flow is today. The primary area where we researched comes in this core. We don't worry about sourcing because there are a lot of sourcing already done. We said, okay, let's start focusing on the candidate screening, interview, and hiring decisions. Now, today, how is it done? In fact, for the last few decades, how is this process done? This is done through resumes, technical functional tests, through interviews to gauge experience, educational background, knowledge, job skills, etc. This is what people have been doing for the last 40, 50 years. In fact, in some parts of the world, since the Industrial Revolution in 18th century, they have a paper called biodata in those days. Today we call resume. In between they call curriculum vitae. So this has been the same thing for the last few decades and centuries. Now, what is the problem with this? All those things only cater to the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more beneath the water. Now, what are those things that we're talking about? We are talking about cognitive abilities, behavior, motives, soft skills. The foundation here is cognitive abilities. Why cognitive abilities? Because by the age of 12, our neurons stop growing. The neural links start already framing their rigidity. That means we can't really form so many things after the age of 12, after the age of 14. By the time we come out of the college, the brain is almost saturated in terms of forming new neural links. Yes, if you force it to do things more, you can do that. But fundamentally, as an innate ability, you are done there. In fact, the number of neurons that you generate on a daily basis after that are less than 700 neurons per day. So that means these things can't be changed overnight. If I'm hiring someone, if they have something at a certain level, you can't change it overnight. Similar is the case with motives. What drives this person? Yes, he might be a James Bond, she might be a James Bond in what they do. But if they are not willingly doing the thing, if they are not motivated to do the thing, are we really getting the benefit out of it? No. Similar is the case with the soft skills. I can't teach people how to smile every day. It has to come automatically. But yes, you can do those things, but there's a long way to go. So this is what we realized. You know what? The top part is called performance. The bottom part is called potential. Gone are the days when we hire people for performance. Now are the days when we hire people for their potential. What can they do when they come into this organization, especially the 21st century skills and the 21st century jobs? Can we give them an understanding of, okay, can this person learn? Can this person solve problems? Can this person reason? Can this person think in a different way? Can they do multitasking? Can they negotiate? All these things come into picture. Now, this is where we came into picture. This is where we realized the existing methodologies won't do the job. The Question and answer exams won't do the job. So that's where we came in with the game-based approach. There is this old gentleman called Plato. He said this long time ago. We can understand more about a person in an hour of conversation. So what he ideally was saying is, we can understand more about a person when we put them in a contextual environment, simulate that, let them achieve some goals. In that journey, can we understand their core abilities? Can we understand their core behavior? So we said this is where the whole opportunity lies. Let's create games to solve this problem. Because through games, you don't need 1 hour long question papers. Through games, you can very engagingly get the candidate finish the test. The problem today for the organizations is not giving the test, to make them finish the test. And once this is done, can we understand more than what the traditional methodologies are doing? So this is where we came in picture with the games, the videos, and the AI. So what do these things do? Today with games, both in mobile and VR platform, we can look at cognitive abilities. With simulations, we can understand the behavior of a person in a simulation. With AI interviews, we can use the soft skills, especially the facial expressions, the language abilities, the speech, etc. So we went further. We did our research with our psychologists, and then we realized these are the traits that we can easily capture. In cognitive abilities, starting from learning, problem solving, critical thinking, multitasking, adaptability, decision making, risk taking, whatnot. Through AI interviews, soft skills, etc., you can understand all those elements just in a fraction of minutes. Forget about hours. Fraction of minutes. And through chat and audiovisual conversations, you can understand whether can someone understand the language. Can someone be a good person for a BP or KPA job? Or even for the sales job? So this is where we started creating games. Let me show you a video of this game. This is how the candidate looks on the phone. This is a game that is completely built on traveling salesman. The concept of traveling salesman. Can someone really understand the rules? Can someone plan well? Understanding the situations around them, and then meet different types of clients, understanding what type of client will give me what kind of revenue. Also look at pissed off clients, not so happy clients, and clients who can give me great revenue. So what kind of person am I? Am I a person who are driven by achievement, or am I a person who is driven by customer service? And then certain types of games which can give us the simple numerical abilities, which could be a quick calculation of a percentage calculation for a trader or a salesman. Or it could be a decision-making exercise, and then it could be personality behavior, or even the simple language exercises. And beyond this, we went on to say, you know what, this is not just enough. Can we also make them answer questions on a camera using the front camera of the phone? Can they capture their behavior, their expressions, their language abilities? So that's where the video interview is also kicked off. Now the beauty is, once all of this is done, the kind of report that is generated is not just giving you scores, it also tells the system what is the trait that you need to look for a particular job and whom should you hire. All those yellow marks that you see there, I'll drag it again. You can look at the strengths, the areas of improvements, etc., etc., etc. Now let us go deeper into the reports. What can we find out of this? If you look at this report, the way it is divided is into 5 different factors. Today, any new fresher, any new graduate coming into the market, what is the market really expecting out of them? 5 primary things. 1, can they learn? And when I say can they learn, there are 2 parts to it. One, the ability to learn, 2, the intent to learn. So one is a behavioral aspect, the other one is a cognitive aspect. Then, can they think and solve problems? And that includes reasoning, problem solving, thinking styles, a lot of other information processing techniques, etc. Now there, can they take an initiative and do they have the drive for results? Today the challenge is, the youth today wants to start everything, do everything. But unfortunately, the conclusion, achieving targets, the driving towards a conclusion is missing there. Now, can we understand this part here? Now, from there, can we go into the adapt to change? Can they adapt to change? Can they go into the new environments? Can they figure it out? Can they learn by themselves? And the last one, the interpersonal skills. And the beauty is, we can always go into the existing organization, create a benchmark study, give the same game to the existing performers, see what kind of capabilities they have in common with the top performers, average performers, low performers. Create a success profile. Those yellow marks are the success profiles. If the score falls in the yellow mark, that means yes, this guy is a good candidate as per my past understanding of my people. And from there, the detailed version of the reports. Now, if you look at this part of it, can we automatically say whether this candidate is recommended or not based on the past behaviors that we observe from different other industries and companies? Now, the video interview report comes in a very different way. Each question, you can quickly play a video. And then you can also get a data on their smile, their language abilities, their fillers, pauses, whatnot. Now, all of this is done in 45 minutes, including sending a request to take the test, candidate downloading the app, taking a test, and the report right in front of HR in less than 45 minutes, remotely, wherever they are. So the candidate doesn't need to travel. So this is going to really change the game, especially in the gig economy. People can be anywhere, especially 2-tier, 3-tier cities. They don't need to travel all the way to come where you are. The remote proctoring device, the front camera is a great boon because it understands how many people are in the scene. Okay, do you have help from other person? He's the same person who's taking this throughout the journey. So the proctoring is a bigger advantage here. The technology is more encouraging that way. But once all of this is done, what is the result? How is it really impacting the outcomes of the companies? These are the results. There are tangible benefits which directly say, you know what, the companies today are doing less than 2/3 of the interviews that they earlier used to do. And then it also says the candidate time taken for taking a test. Earlier they are going through a test for almost 1.5 hours for every company. Now it all boils down, it all comes down to 20 to 30 minutes. And they are just gains. And then the productivity of the candidates is going up because now you know who is the right fit for the job based on the past performers of the company. At the same time, you're cutting down the attrition because you know who is motivated for a job like this. So I might be good, but I'm not liking this kind of job. So I'll leave the company. So you're understanding this behavior even before someone comes into the organization. And the last part, on the other side, the intangible benefits could be more insightful reports, could be quick and engaging, reliable tests. And today, how can the companies attract people to come and take their tests? The novelty aspect. When I go to an IIM, there are 100 companies coming in. How do I ensure this candidate, the good candidates, take my test and come to my company? The way of attraction. How can I attract my people through these new mechanisms? There is a challenge with this. This won't fit in for every type of job in the market. The reason being, this can't measure the programming skills. That's a functional part. This can't measure whether you are a good doctor. So we are not looking about the functional and the knowledge-based things here. We are fundamentally looking at, can they really do anything and learn anything on the job on a daily basis? So what are those jobs that we're talking of? Industries like software, hardware, IT, but not every role, maybe sales, maybe support, BPO, KPO, operations, creative roles, the UI, UX, design, etc. The new jobs coming into the market. In fact, last week I was talking to a company where I realized Byju's is hiring for 300 people only in UI, UX and design roles to create content. Now, how do they get people from? What kind of tests do they deploy for them? Especially when they are freshers, they don't have an answer. So these new generation, the new jobs when they're coming to market, they don't have a solid test for that. Now, how do you understand whether someone can perform or not? Now, that's where these things are really helping. A few companies that are already using these things, who could take an initiative, be an innovator, be an early adopter, all these companies already started using these things. Be it VR, be it mobile, in India, with us. I'm not talking about with other companies or outside the world. So that's what I have in terms of sharing where the market is going towards in the game-based hiring. Now, if you'd like to check a game, try it yourself, figure it out. I was trying to set it up. Unfortunately, I have to connect to the Wi-Fi. Ma'am, do you have the access to that? If you have that, we could do the game online right here. Otherwise, you can quickly download Perspect AI and then figure it out as well as you try it. So these games are built with the concept of GDP, not the gross domestic product, but the game science, data science, and people science approach. So the gamers, along with the psychologists, when I say psychologists, these are people who are post-PhDs in neurocognitive science from Oxford, or IO psychologists, PhDs from Minnesota, etc., with 25 years in the market. So these are the people who realize, you know what, we can't do this way. And they work with the game designers and they start building these things. As we acquire data, we start creating the benchmarks. We start understanding what kind of job need, what kind of trades, and what kind of industry, and what kind of geographies. And we are mapping them now as we speak. So that is all happening right here. And believe me, next 2 to 3 years, no one is going to take a question answer based exam. Forget that. This is going to be the future, at least for the fresher jobs. Jobs fresh in the market. So that's what we are doing.